Perfume wasn't created to smell beautiful. It wasn't about romance. It wasn't about seduction, fashion, or luxury. Perfume was created because the world used to smell like death. For most of human history, cities were filled with rot, blood, human waste, and decay. The smell was everywhere. In homes, in streets, in marketplaces, even inside royal palaces. And people were terrified of it, because long before science understood bacteria, humans believed deadly smells themselves could kill you. So civilizations turned to scent. Not for pleasure, for survival. This is the dark history of perfume. Before modern sanitation, daily life was unimaginably filthy. Cities had no sewage systems, trash piled in the streets, animal carcasses rotted in public markets. Human waste was dumped directly outside homes. Open drains carried sewage through crowded neighborhoods. The smell wasn't just unpleasant, it was overwhelming. In many cities, the air itself became difficult to escape, and bathing, surprisingly, was often rare. Clean water was limited. In some periods of history, people even believed bathing opened the pores and allowed disease into the body. Clothing might be worn for weeks. Homes trapped smoke, sweat, and decay indoors. Even wealthy families couldn't escape it. And because disease spread constantly, people searched desperately for explanations. Most societies came to the same conclusion. Bad smells caused sickness. This idea became known as miasma theory. People believed poisonous air, created by rotting matter, spread plague and death. And while they didn't understand germs yet, they weren't completely wrong. Filthy environments really did spread disease. They just misunderstood how. Long before modern perfume bottles existed, ancient civilizations were already obsessed with scent. But the earliest perfumes didn't look like liquid fragrances. They were smoke. The word perfume actually comes from the Latin phrase perfumum, through smoke. Ancient Egyptians, Mesopotamians, Indians, Greeks, and Romans burned fragrant materials constantly. Resins, myrrh, frankincense, cedar wood, herbs, and flowers. Temples were filled with scented smoke during religious ceremonies. Funerals used fragrance to mask the smell of death. Priests believed scent connected humans to the divine. Sweet smells became associated with purity, spirituality, and protection. And foul smells became linked to evil, corruption, and disease. Perfume was sacred long before it became fashionable. In Egypt, perfumed oils were rubbed onto bodies during burial rituals, not only for honor, but because preserving the dead mattered deeply. Even mummification involved powerful fragrances and resins. Scent became part of humanity's relationship with mortality itself. Then came one of the deadliest disasters in human history, the Black Death. In the 1300s, the plague tore through Europe, killing tens of millions of people. Entire cities collapsed. Bodies filled the streets. The smell of death became unavoidable. And because nobody understood bacteria, people focused on the air. They believed plague spread through poisonous odors, so perfume became protection. People carried scented flowers and herbs everywhere. Small fragrance pouches were held close to the face. Homes burned incense day and night. Doctors treating plague victims wore terrifying beaked masks stuffed with herbs, flowers, and spices. The masks looked horrifying, but they served a purpose. the scented materials inside were meant to filter deadly air. To modern eyes, it seems primitive, but at the time, this was survival technology. People genuinely believed smell itself carried death. If you could block the odor, you could block the disease. Perfume wasn't beauty. It was armor against an invisible enemy. As Europe grew wealthier, perfume slowly transformed. Not because society became cleaner, but because elites became obsessed with masking filth. Royal courts were infamous for terrible hygiene. One of the most famous examples was Versailles. The palace symbolized wealth and elegance. But behind the luxury, the conditions were shocking. Versailles had very few toilets. Waste was often dumped in hallways, gardens, or hidden corners of the palace. Bathing was limited. Many doctors still believed frequent washing weakened the body. Heavy clothing trapped sweat and odor. Perfume became essential. The French aristocracy covered themselves in powerful fragrances. Gloves were perfumed. Wigs were perfumed. Rooms were perfumed. Furniture was perfumed. Even pets were perfumed. Strong scent became a sign of status. The richer you were, the more fragrance you could afford, and perfume houses began emerging across Europe, especially in France. What began as protection against disease was slowly becoming luxury. Everything changed with science. In the 1800s, scientists finally proved that germs, not smells, cause disease. The old fear of poisonous air began disappearing. Cities modernized, sewage systems improved, clean water became more accessible, bathing became common. For the first time in history, perfume no longer needed to hide constant filth, so its purpose evolved. Perfumers began creating scents not just to mask odors, but to create emotion. Perfume became art, a way to express identity, memory, mood. Entire industries exploded around fragrance. New chemical discoveries allowed perfumers to create scents never found in nature. Luxury brands emerged, and perfume transformed from survival tool into a global symbol of elegance and desire. But beneath the beauty, its darker origins never disappeared. There's a reason perfume still feels emotional today. Smell is deeply connected to memory. More than almost any other sense, certain scents can instantly transport people backward in time. A childhood home, a hospital, a funeral, a specific person, a specific moment. Scientists now know scent is processed in parts of the brain closely tied to emotion and memory. And maybe that explains why perfume became so important throughout history. Because humans weren't just covering smells, they were controlling emotion, fear, comfort, safety. Perfume made terrible environments feel survivable, even if only psychologically. Today, perfume is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Luxury brands sell tiny bottles for enormous prices. Advertising connects fragrance to beauty, power, romance, and confidence. Names like Chanel, Dior, and Guerlain became global symbols of sophistication. But the original purpose of perfume was far less glamorous. It came from fear, from disease, from overcrowded cities where death had a smell people couldn't escape. Every modern fragrance still carries traces of that history, even if most people never realize it. Perfume didn't begin as luxury. It began as protection, as ritual, as medicine. as humanity's attempt to survive a world filled with decay. For thousands of years, scent stood between people and the horrors surrounding them. And maybe that's why perfume still feels powerful today, because hidden inside every bottle is an ancient human instinct to push back against death, to reclaim control, and to make the world smell safe again.